Hello again, everybody, and welcome yourselves back to another episode of the Fuel for Thought podcast with us, Fran and Will. Where
It's Will and Fran.
We're
like Ant and Dec.
Yeah, okay, fine. And yeah, this week we are reviewing the Mexican Grand Prix.
An exciting one, I would say.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A bit in the middle, I was like dozing off a little bit, but
I was a bit hungover on Sunday, and it was quite late, so I was kind of like falling asleep a little bit. And then there was obviously, we'll get into it, but there was a certain thing that happened, and I was like instantly awake again.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was snoring. Was I? I was sat next to you on the sofa.
I don't think so, but maybe I was as well.
I think Mum was falling asleep as well. It was a good race. I think we were all just very tired from the clocks changing.
Yeah. Obviously, with a lot of good races, there's still some lulls in periods.
Yeah, of course.
But all in all, pretty good race. Let's start from the beginning, shall we?
Let's.
So, like last year, there was a safety car on the first lap in the first corner. Mm-hmm. Before the first corner, actually.
Yeah. It's a long run down to the first corner.
Similar impact to Perez for Sonoda from last year, obviously.
Yep.
Colliding with Albon, just a pure incident.
Yeah, it was quite unfortunate. Like wrong
just
place.
Too many cars.
Wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he was like flirting with going around the outside onto the grass, and there just wasn't room there, unfortunately.
No. Obviously, that removed Sonoda, his wheel, and Alex Albon from the race.
Yeah. Poor Alex Albon, 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, bless him. He's kind of had a bit of bad luck recently.
Yeah, but the narrative has been that Colapinto's doing better than him. Well, it's like, but his luck's been a bit poor.
Yeah,
so
definitely has. And I mean, obviously Colapinto's taken a step up from his previous teammates, but obviously that doesn't remove Alex Albon's talent, really, does it?
No.
Excuse me. Yeah. So George was quite lucky to escape.
He was
from that incident. He was so close to being taken out.
He got a terrible start, actually. George Russell got overtaken by his teammate.
Yep.
Almost got overtaken by Magnussen.
He did.
But he did at one point, and then they got him back, I think.
Okay, I can't remember that bit.
But yeah, terrible start for him. But just about avoided the carnage.
Mm-hmm. But the start meant that Max Verstappen got the lead of the race.
He had a great start.
He did.
Like, not in terms of reaction time necessarily, but like what they said was the second phase of the start. He was so much quicker than Sainz, who started in pole. Obviously, Sainz pole, Max P2, and
Charles
in P3.
No, that's not true. It was Lando.
It was Lando.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yeah. I thought it was Lando.
I feel like, I don't know. It's been a long weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Max took the lead, and then we had the second safety car in like 10 races or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is,
straight away.
Back to normal, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it wasn't long until Carlos managed to take Max back.
Yep.
I think obviously the Ferrari just was faster than Red Bull.
Yeah, yes. But it's funny how Max seems to race different people differently.
Yeah.
Because very, very quickly we saw the continuation of the battle from last week, and this is obviously the big controversy that everyone's going to be speaking about and has been speaking about, is how, like, over the line his racing with Lando Norris was.
Very much so over the line.
Making contact, forcing him off track, both going off track.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, Lando has to take avoiding action off track, comes out in the lead, lets Carlos past, obviously, but doesn't let Max past. And then...
Because he was ahead of the apex, he didn't have to give the place back.
But and then at turn 8, no attempt to make the corner whatsoever from Max, just a almost like malicious dive bomb to try, almost look like it was just trying, to take Lando out. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to, accuse of that. Maybe it's just sort of being overly aggressive, trying to force him as wide as possible to take the place back, and maybe the red mist came down a little bit, but it's so egregious, that move.
It's dangerous driving at the end of the day. It's kind of unsportsmanship. Like, he should not be driving like that.
Yeah.
His speed was so powerful into that corner that there was no way he would have been able to stay on track. And obviously he knew where Lando was. So, yeah. I just think I saw an interview in Lando who said that he enjoys his fights with Max, but fair fights.
Yes.
And that was over the line. And hopefully that Max can look at that and see that. And I'm just glad that the penalties happened, because hopefully then Max can realise that that's not okay. And obviously you said at the time that Lewis said it in 21 all the time. He's a dangerous driver. And Lando came on the radio and said it's just dangerous.
Yeah, well, when Lando came on the radio, I was like, he sounds like Hamilton.
Yeah.
He sounds like Hamilton from a few years ago, because he's saying exactly the same things.
Yeah.
Because, like, and we've been saying, obviously the whole narrative now is like, yeah, Max does this all the time, but we've been saying this for a while.
Yeah.
That's how he races when he's not sort of in the fastest car. So, like, it's good to see it clamps down.
Definitely.
Because then we get to see him race fairly as well, and like show his abilities, which obviously he has.
Yeah.
Still probably the best racer on the grid.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure like why he's like, I don't know why he races like that when he has so much skill that he doesn't need to race so aggressively.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like it's fair to race aggressively as long as you don't go over the limit.
To go over the line.
Yeah, as long as it's still fair.
Yeah.
Because I do think that Lando needs a bit more aggression to kind of match Max's energy, but at the same time, Max just took it too far this time.
Yeah, and the other thing I've been saying is that, you know, it's going to build up to a point where these moves get so unfair and ridiculous that eventually Lando just won't yield and they'll come together. I mean, it's happened once already.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I think that obviously will work in Max's favour, though, because he's ahead in the championship.
Yeah, it's true. But it's always like, you know, crash or go off is the mentality. And what happens when Lando's like, okay, crash. Like, you're coming at me. I'm not, you know, I'm keeping my line. It
could, I mean, where was it that happened with Lando and...
Austria.
Lewis and Max.
Lewis. Silverstone.
Was it Silverstone? Yeah, where...
Big crash at Silverstone.
Yeah, where Max was kind of being aggressive, and then eventually it, like, kind of led to him...
It was
Lewis,
Max turned in, and that was the one time Lewis didn't back out the move.
Yeah.
And he ended up turning into his front wheel, but Lewis got a penalty for that.
Yeah.
But even that was
if that happened, and obviously Max DNFs and Lando stays in the race, gets a penalty, but gets points, that still puts Max in a lesser favour than Lando.
Yeah.
Obviously Lando will be eating more away at the points. So Max also needs to be careful, because it could kind of backfire on him and get him out of the race, and then Lando could finish, I don't know, P2, P3, even with a penalty, because that McLaren is quick, and then it could hinder Max. So he just needs to look at himself and just calm down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even the conversations we want to be having, is it?
No,
really?
no.
So, what do you think about the penalties? Do you think 10 seconds for each was deserved?
Yes, I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think at some point, because I don't know, the last couple of races he's done kind of situations like that, and obviously last week Lando got a penalty.
Yeah, they've been kind of like caveats where he's kind of been, you know, the grey area in the rules and kind of gotten away with it, even though it's been a bit like, all right, it's a bit naughty.
Yeah. I think obviously this time it's unquestionable that he is in the wrong, and I think the FIA need to kind of make a precedence of like, that's not okay, so this is what's going to happen to you if you do this.
And it shouldn't be a harsher penalty because it's him, obviously.
Yeah.
That should be the same for everyone.
Definitely.
But they should clamp down on it across the board, and because Max has been doing it mostly, it's going to seem like it's because of him.
Yeah.
And
also I was thinking, obviously Toto made those comments last weekend about like the biasness of the FIA towards kind of giving penalties out to certain teams. I
think that he's just playing the same game that Red Bull play.
Yeah.
Because Max is, you know, I've got the wrong passport. They're biased towards British drivers, so it's like just playing the same game. Because even on the radio, Max and his engineer, like, oh, was there a penalty? Well, there was a lot of whinging. It's like they just try and wind people up.
Yeah,
so, like,
it wound me up. I was like, why are you saying that? And you're like,
Exactly.
they're just trying to wind people up. And I was like, all right.
It's part of the whole mental game, I think.
Yeah. But obviously, roles reversed. If that happened to Max, they'd be whinging
100%.
all the time.
Yeah.
Christian Horner would be having a 10-minute interview at the end of the race saying how disgraceful it is. I saw, obviously, Zach Brown got interviewed. He said
it wasn't enough.
He said it wasn't enough. I don't agree with that. I think it was enough.
I feel like, so for me, so go back to that question, it's like,
Yeah.
I also agree with them, especially if they're the standard penalties. Like, yeah, just give them the standard penalties.
Yeah. And I'm glad they gave one for each incident and not kind of combine them together.
Yeah. Yeah, same. There's an argument that one of them could have been 5, but if they are the standard recommended penalty, then yeah fine. I saw some people upset that Lando only got 5 last week, but on the notes for that incident, it said that while the standard penalty is 10, there were considerations given to considering that both drivers went off the track.
Yeah.
So
and
then
also
it was reduced to 5.
I feel like it's slightly different because Lando got a penalty because he overtook off track, right?
Left the track and gained an advantage,
Yeah.
which is what one of Max's penalties was for.
Right, okay. I see. Right, so that's why they were comparing them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I do understand why people would be debating that, but yeah, it is what it is. I think it's just the consistency of the rules, and I don't necessarily think that the rules have been consistent.
No, but I know I'm not a Red Bull fan, but I think this will be good, like a good example moving forward.
Yeah.
Now, like this can't, this type of racing cannot have continued really. So the fact that it's happened now is probably good.
Yeah.
All in all, regardless of who you support, regardless of how you feel about it.
Yeah, I agree. And I hope that because this has happened now, he kind of looks back at it and is like, right, this can't happen again because I can't afford to lose 20 seconds of time.
Exactly.
So hopefully there'll be more kind of exciting, fair fighting between him and Lando in over the next few races until the end of the season, rather than these scary situations, which, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so Ferrari were strong this week, eh?
They were.
Again?
Obviously, Max and Lando fighting put Charles Leclerc in a good position. He overtook
Charles
both of
over-
them.
yeah.
Yeah, which is good for him. Obviously,
Good for Ferrari.
Yeah, great for Ferrari.
And-
They've overtaken Red Bull in the
it just hurts Red Bull as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Literally, exactly.
And I guess that's inevitable because Perez is, again, nowhere to be seen.
Yep. But I think, obviously, we said about this last week, but it is kind of becoming a 3-horse race. And I think the more that Max and Lando fight, the better position it puts Charles Leclerc in, because I think now he's 25 points behind Lando.
They're still not really talking about him.
No. It was mentioned in the post-race interview, but Charles said he's just taking it race by race and
of course.
it just see how it goes. But I don't think he's really thinking about it because it is quite unlikely.
Clearly Ferrari aren't either, because otherwise they might have maximised Charles' race a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
True.
instead he got a P3.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe if they let him attack Carlos a little bit more towards the start,
Yeah.
it might have been different, but who knows.
Yeah, I saw Carlos though. He was talking about his win. He said he shed a little tear on the podium because he wanted to get one more race win with Ferrari. His mum was there. His mum had never seen him win a race before, in person. His friends were there. His girlfriend was there. His family were there. So, and obviously it's the best podium of the season with the car rising up. So I think obviously that's such a great kind of way for him to end his.
Yeah, it's always going to be difficult to tell someone nah, you're not having your win.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen, is it?
Exactly. And obviously Charles would get more wins with Ferrari, whereas
Carlos won't.
let Carlos have this one. He really deserved it this weekend as well. He drove amazingly, controlled the race really well.
If we're talking emotion aside and points only, every point's going to count now.
Definitely.
So those 7 points are going to be so important. And, if Charles ends up, say, 7 points or 6 points behind Lando at the end of the season.
Yeah. True. Very true.
Yeah.
It's going to get very exciting to in the next couple of races. I hope so too. I don't know. Who knows what will happen?
Yeah.
I just hope that they both keep eating points away from Max, and it's I say this every time, but it would just
Yeah.
Great.
So Ferrari, real quick. Lando thinks that McLaren were the fastest car on track.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, he was catching them quite quickly at the end.
You know, he probably would have won if he hadn't been caught up in with Max.
Yeah.
Maybe. It might have been close.
Yeah.
So
I think he went from he like lost a place at the beginning as well.
That's
Then he
true.
obviously got Max,
got
or like
Charles.
had that fight with Max, and it was just
Yeah.
there was just too much going on that it slowed him down a lot.
Piastri qualified very poorly.
Yes.
So that goes back to that consistency we're talking about before. You know, like solid fast driver, but just needs to like be a tiny bit more consistent.
Yeah, definitely. But I think he finished P7 behind Kevin Magnussen. Was it Kevin Magnussen?
No, he got ahead of Magnussen, I think.
Behind Nico Hulkenberg then.
I don't.
No, I think Magnussen came up in front
No, I
of
thought
Hulkenberg.
he got both Hasses.
No,
I'm
he
sure
didn't. He didn't. He was in a Haas sandwich.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought he had.
I don't believe he did.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. Haas did very well this weekend. I don't know whether it was because of the altitude or whether they've
I don't know. They
Yeah.
both did well though, so
They
it must have been
both-
something
yeah.
to the car.
definitely great from Haas.
Yep.
Nice to see. This is like 4 races in a row, including the sprint for Hulkenberg, that he's got points. Yeah,
Sick.
very good. He's just an excellent driver anyway.
And they kept saying that Magnussen's in the twilight of his career. So like obviously not going to be in the sport after this
No,
season.
he's not, unfortunately. Still a great driver, I think. Put in the right car. You disagree?
No, yeah, he's
Okay.
he's average, I think.
Yeah, okay. I think he's better than some others on the grid,
Yeah,
but
I think I put him in. Well, I think Bottas is probably over the course of his career slightly better than Magnussen.
Yeah.
Because they have better cars, so.
yeah.
But like in that same sort of group
Mm-hmm.
of drivers, like they're solid, putting good performances.
Yeah. Moving on to Mercedes.
Yeah, Mercedes.
Quite close this weekend.
Yeah, well, George had an older spec because he crashed a couple of times.
Yeah.
He had the Silverstone spec on, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas
Like 12 races ago.
Hamilton had the Mexico spec. And it looked like George was going to be quicker
Yeah.
for a lot of the race.
Yeah.
And Hamilton finally got him. They raced close. But no complaints from either of them, it seemed like.
No.
So.
I was kind of a bit worried at the end because obviously if they both crashed into each other and crashed out, obviously Max would have... Obviously I'm a Lando fan, so I'm going to be slightly biased here. But yeah, Max would have obviously got more points because of that. But I'm glad that they fought barely. Yeah. Good.
So that and Lewis was 4th, Russell was 5th.
Yeah. Which is quite good. Obviously the upgrades...
No, then if Max was 6th,
Yeah.
Piastri must have been 7th ahead of the Hasses.
I'm pretty sure Haas finished ahead of him. Yeah, double check. But yeah, the Mercedes upgrade, obviously Hamilton did finish in front of George, but not. It was quite close most of the race, so I think obviously the upgrades are working, but there's not a significant difference between them.
Yeah.
You found out where Piastri finished?
Yeah, 8th behind Magnussen.
What did I say? You should trust me. Yeah, Magnussen doesn't really beat Hulkenberg that often, does he? But he did this time. And special shout out to Pierre Gasly.
Yeah,
P10.
Points.
A point for Alpine.
And Gasly.
Gasly. Yeah.
Lance Stroll in 11th. Oh, and Fernando Alonso, 400th start.
Oh, yeah. DNF. We were like, when he pulled up in his pit box, we were like, oh, got a bit over there. But yeah, DNF for him.
And with Colapinto in 12th. Not bad. Not bad. Ocon 13th, Bottas 14th. I mean, you can never say anything about Sauber. It's just
No, I feel like we
depressing for them, innit?
we barely ever mentioned Sauber, but what can you really say?
the last probably notable battle I think we should mention is Liam Lawson and Sergio Perez.
Did you see the clip of when Liam Lawson had pitted because he had damage on his front wing? He then overtook Perez and gave him the middle finger. Did you see that?
I saw that, yeah.
I was like, is that real?
Okay, so like, I've only seen negative things about this fight, but I thought it was good racing.
I did too.
Maybe a little bit over the edge in a couple of occasions. And I know Perez got a little bit of a hole in the side pod, but that's like a lot. That's his fault as well.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't hang in that fight.
No.
Against the sister team.
Yeah.
It's meant to be a worse car. And the new kid on the block comes in and just shows him up. Maybe a bit too aggressive.
Yeah, maybe, but also, I feel like from Liam, if I'm gonna like defend Liam, he has potential to get into that Red Bull seat.
Yeah.
So he's obviously not gonna come in and just like let Perez by, is he?
Yeah.
If that's the seat that he wants to get, he's gonna come in maybe a little bit aggressive, not gonna just like sit back and just let the big dogs
I'm
race.
all here for it. I mean, I've got no dog in this fight.
Yeah.
But Perez's comments afterwards is so salty.
Yeah.
He's not in a position to be giving out advice at all.
No, definitely not. He finished last
Yeah, he finished dead last.
in his
of the
home race.
finishers.
It's sad. Obviously, it's sad from an emotional point of view. I'm an emotional gal. It's sad. It was his home race. He finished last.
Well, only because they pitted him to try and steal the fastest lap.
True. I'm pretty sure Lawson overtook him before that.
Yeah, probably.
But
No, then he had to pit. He had to pit first, though. Again, I think because they changed his front wing.
Yeah.
Because it got damaged in
Yeah.
a fight with someone else. Was it Stroll?
Colapinto, I think.
Colapinto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, just Perez finishing last is ridiculous to me. It's just ridiculous. I'm like, why is he still in that Red Bull seat?
Well, it's because it's not even happened once.
Yeah, but now Red Bull have moved down in the constructors.
They've only got one person to blame.
Yeah,
Perez.
Perez has been in that seat for far too long, and the fact that he was complaining about Lawson, like racing him, it's just like
Yeah, he's like, oh, you've come into the sport with the wrong attitude. It's like,
Clearly-
you are not Max Verstappen, my
exactly.
friend.
Yeah, you can't. I feel like you can't be putting yourself. He shouldn't even be putting himself in a position to be racing Lawson. He should not be down that low. He qualified what, P18, P17?
Yeah.
You
like
can't be
low.
qualifying that low in a Red Bull. And if you're putting yourself in a situation where you're racing the sister team, which
With a brand new driver
it's
who's had
just
about
not.
5 races in F1.
Yeah, I just think it's just not really okay to make comments like that. Obviously, he can have his own opinion.
Well, he was treated like a naughty school kid afterwards. Do you see, like, him, Christian Horner's been interviewed and he was waiting in the background and then they walked off together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think he's been had a talking to from...
Oh, really? Well, I saw
yeah.
an interview with Christian Horner and someone asked him, I can't remember who it was.
Probably Nico Rosberg.
It wasn't Nico Rosberg, but someone asked him, that's your sister team. Would you like get on the blower to Liam Lawson and tell him to kind of like take like
Different team, not allowed to.
And Christian was like, well, no, because they're their own team, they have their own people and stuff. And obviously he's being very diplomatic
when it suits
about
them, innit?
Exactly, yeah. He made it was like, no, different team. Like can't.
I've made my opinions known about them
Yeah,
having 2
I
teams
know.
before, so we won't get into that
I
again.
know. But obviously you thought that they were pitting. Obviously Liam
Did have damage.
did have damage, but he probably could have stayed out. I don't, obviously, losing part of your front wing does affect you massively. But if he's going to come last anyway from having a damaged front wing, why bother pitting him like 3 laps towards the end? And you thought that they did that because he was going to take the fastest lap off
Well,
of
even
Lando.
if they didn't, it's just like I spoke about this before. Like the fact that they have a conflict of interest, the question's there all the time.
Yeah.
The fact that the question's there is just like it's just such a conflict, and
I
it
know.
just shouldn't be there anyway. But it doesn't matter because Charles got it in the end. So
Yeah.
like,
Which I'm not mad about.
No.
An extra point for Charles Leclerc. Happy with that. Although it didn't really take it away from Lando because Liam Lawson had it, didn't he? So yeah.
yeah. And they tried to get Perez to get it, but he had a damaged car. So.
Yeah. Over Charles in the Ferrari, which was faster than the Red Bull this weekend anyway.
Yeah.
In like an undamaged Ferrari.
But Helmut Marko since come out and said that Liam Lawson's been too aggressive, and it's like I don't
Okay.
necessarily agree with it. Maybe he's a little bit too aggressive, but I like.
But what about Max Verstappen then?
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they're quick to praise Max because he's a world champion because of the way that he drives, and obviously he's a skillful driver. But yeah, he can be aggressive. But then you can't complain about Liam Lawson coming in with a similar attitude.
With
but
the hunger, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think Liam was necessarily driving dangerously.
Nah, I think it was on the line.
Yeah.
Probably maybe a little bit over at some points, but he kept it within the lines for the most part.
Yeah.
So, fair game, I say. Let
Me
him race.
too. Let him race.
Right, there was a lot to talk about
Yep.
with that race, but we'll get on to our predictions, see how he did.
Okay.
I'm wondering how close we're going to be here.
Right.
What have you got?
Well, I said that Carlos would qualify in P3, which he did not. Charles would qualify in P2, and Lando would qualify on pole. Not right, but not crazy wrong. Carlos will obviously qualified pole.
Yeah. Verstappen in P2 and Lando P3.
Yeah.
I was way off.
What did you say?
Leclerc P3, Hamilton P2, Norris P1.
Yeah. Not way off, just not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, race.
Race.
We said the same thing.
Yeah.
Max P3.
Yeah.
Lando P2.
Yeah.
Charles P1. Got
Yeah.
Lando right. Wrong Ferrari driver in P1.
Yeah. And Verstappen had that 20-second penalty, so
Oh.
finished sixth.
Yep. Bold predictions. I said both Alpines will score points.
One of them did.
One of them did. And you were like, nah, no way. So at least I got half of that right.
Yeah, they didn't though, did they? I said Perez will qualify outside the top 10,
Correct.
which isn't even that bold anymore.
It's not. It's not. But I feel like because it was his home Grand Prix.
It's bold to say he'll qualify in the top 10, I reckon.
Yeah. Perez will qualify in the top 3. That's quite bold.
I feel like there's a lot of Perez slander on this podcast.
Yeah.
But he just
yeah.
needs to be doing better. And it's so, I guess he's such an easy target because he's in such a good car and he always somehow manages to underperform so dramatically.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. I really don't like slandering people, but I just think.
Just the more it happens, the funnier it gets.
Yeah.
So that's why we should keep talking about it
Yeah.
because it's just like, how? How does it keep
I
happening?
know, I just don't understand. I don't understand why certain drivers are being dropped from their teams
Yeah.
and he's still in that seat. Like, it just doesn't really seem like a.
Well, we'll see now that Mexico's over.
Yeah.
And his documentary's going to drop and all
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah, we'll see. My second bold prediction: there will be 2 safety cars. You said there will be 3.
I said 3. There was 1.
There was 1. We need a third person on this podcast to have said the 1.
4.
Yeah. My third one: Sergio Perez will finish outside the points.
That's not that bold, is it?
Need I say more?
Yeah. I said Lawson will finish in the points. He could have done at one point.
Yeah. Oh well.
But maybe I'll say that Lawson will have another fight with Perez next time or something.
Yeah.
I gave it away.
Ah.
Oh well. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah. Driver of the day, I said it would have been Charles Leclerc, but I actually think I'm going to give my driver of the day to Lando Norris. I know Carlos won, but I'm going to give it to Lando because obviously he managed to survive his fight with Max and finish in P2. Obviously he started in P2, but I think I'm just going to still give it to Lando.
I said Leclerc because I said he would win. Easy for me. It's got to be Carlos.
Carlos, yeah.
Nah, because like you expect that from Lando.
Yeah.
Like Carlos qualified pole, he finished in front, no dramas.
Yeah.
Like yes, he went behind at the start, but he then very quickly fixed his mistake. And I feel like if Lando was driver of the day, he would have won.
Yeah, true. Sometimes I like to mix it up and not give the winner driver of the day because I feel like.
I know, but I feel like that should be reserved for like people that have just like had an extraordinary race and put their car somewhere that maybe it shouldn't have been given the circumstance. So I don't know.
I also like how Carlos took Max by surprise with his overtake because I think Max was harvesting his energy, and Carlos was like, "All right,
Yeah, he just went for it.
I'm ready."
Sent it.
Yeah, and it was good because the detection zone for DRS was in one place for 2 zones.
Second helping.
Yeah, so he managed to get some good speed there.
Yes, and most importantly, avoided having to go wheel to wheel with Max Verstappen in the corners.
Yep. Which is, yeah,
Yes.
a great thing.
So maybe we'll be closer next time, but hopefully next time it's just as exciting.
I hope so, because this was very exciting.
Very dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. One last thing to mention. What like kind of snapped us back into life was Charles had a bit of a moment towards the end there, didn't he?
Yeah. That's when it was like kind of like a bit of a lull before that. And then Charles, I don't know what happened, whether he caught some dust or something, or I don't know.
But he had a snap.
Yeah,
almost went into the wall.
He was quite like skillful with that save.
Lucky where it happened.
Yeah, but obviously that let Lando past him. But he did say that Lando was just a lot quicker anyway, so he was going to overtake him anyway. But yeah.
Lucky. Yeah, very lucky.
Charles did say that it wasn't a great weekend for him, but finishing third in a not a great weekend is pretty good. So yeah.
And we got to hear the Italian national anthem again, so we can't complain really.
No, we cannot. Great to hear. Yeah. Anything else? Anything else you want to mention?
No, just looking forward to Brazil. Obviously, used to be the last race of the season. Traditionally, well, in recent times, the last race until Abu Dhabi came along. So it's always exciting.
Yeah.
Good track.
I do love Brazil, where George Russell won his first race.
Yes, it is.
Kind of Lewis Hamilton's home race, because he's a citizen of Brazil, isn't he?
It's where he came back from last in the sprint to come first in the race when they used to have that as qualifying. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, potential for some good stuff in Brazil.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yes, me too. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this one. I feel like it was a pretty jam-packed one, full of things to talk about. So let us know your thoughts. Join in the conversations. There's a lot of them to have. So love to know opinions. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But until then, we'll see you in the build up to the Brazilian Grand Prix.
Yeah. Thank you for listening and watching, guys. Bye.